The lights in the packed arena burned like 1,000 suns, casting long shadows across the glistening mat of the ring. The roar of the crowd shook the very foundation of the stadium, as the reigning kickboxing champion, Rafe, the Cobra, Castillo, strutted around the ring, arms raised, his skin glistening with sweat. At 32, he was undefeated, explosive, and drenched in arrogance. He had just flattened his latest challenger with a ruthless spinning kick to the temple. The man had dropped like a ragdoll. The referee didn't even bother with the count. It was over. Another victim, another notch on Castillo's record. Castillo grabbed the microphone, breath heavy, pacing like a lion in a cage. "That's it," he shouted, pointing to the motionless body on the canvas. "This is who you cheer for. This is what passes for a fighter today." The crowd bowed, some chanted, others remained on edge. Castillo snarled, "You've beaten every man who dared to step in here. There's no one left. I am the best alive. Fastest, strongest, deadliest. You think anyone out there can touch me?" He smirked and turned toward the VIP row, where celebrities sat in well-lit luxury, sipping drinks and watching like royalty from a balcony. And then he saw him, sitting calmly in the front row, arms folded, eyes steady, Jason Statham. Castillo's smirk widened. "Well, look who we have here," he said with a mocking sneer. "The tough guy from the movies himself. Jason Statham, come to watch a real fighter tonight." "Yeah." The camera turned, the crowd's attention shifted sharply. Jason sat motionless, calm, focused, as if the chows around him didn't exist. Castillo continued, mimicking a British accent. "Ollie, fancy joining me in the ring, mate, or you just here to pose for selfies and sign autographs?" The crowd's noise began rising into a chant. "Jason! Jason!" Castillo raised his arms again. "You came to watch a champion. Nah, mate, step up and face one." Jason slowly stood, no words, no gestures. He handed off his drink, unzipped his jacket, and climbed the barricade. Security parted without a word. They knew exactly who he was, and so did everyone else. The arena exploded. Jason walked through the crowd, his steps calm but unshakable. He entered the ring without hesitation, locking eyes with Castillo like a man who had been waiting for this moment for years. Castillo chuckled nervously. "So the action star wants to play real now." Jason didn't blink. "You just made it real." The referee, wide and unsure but recognizing something legendary unfolding, moved to center ring. "This is an exhibition. No titles, no rules. Fight stops when someone's down." The bell rang. Castillo struck first, fast and aggressive. Kicks flew at Jason's ribs, punches aimed at his jaw. But Jason wasn't reacting. He was reading, absorbing, understanding. Every twitch of Castillo's muscles was a tell, and Jason saw it all. Jason dodged, deflected, moved with surgical precision. He didn't fight like a man trying to win. He fought like a man with a purpose. Then Castillo landed a knee. It struck Jason in the ribs. The crowd gasped. Castillo grinned. "Not on a film set now, are you?" Jason just straightened, changed stance, came forward. He swept Castillo's leg, forcing him to stumble. The crowd roared. Jason struck again. Sharp elbow to the ribs, low kick to the tactical. Controlled. No waste. Then Castillo got dirty. An elbow to the back of Jason's head. Illegal and dangerous. The crowd booed. Jason dropped to a knee but didn't fall. His face tightened, not in pain but focus. This wasn't about showmanship. It was personal. Years ago, Jason's younger brother Dean was a rising amateur fighter. Gifted, hungry, but raw. He had fought Castillo early in his career, in a dark, untelevised bout no one remembered. Except Jason. Castillo hadn't just beaten Dean. He humiliated him, hurt him badly. Deliberate, brutal blows long after the bell. Dean's career ended that night. So did a part of his spirit. He never entered a ring again. Jason never forgot. He had kept his promise to his brother, not to seek revenge. But now Castillo had mocked him in public. Called him out in front of the world. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Jason stepped in with a storm. Body shots, knees, a spinning elbow that cut Castillo across the cheek. For the first time, the champion looked unsure. His speed couldn't save him now. His reflexes were breaking down. Jason was relentless, precise, a warrior without ego. Castillo lashed out with a wild hook. Jason ducked, pivoted, and smashed a roundhouse kick into Castillo's ribs. The man flew back, flat on his back. He didn't get up. The crowd was silent for a heartbeat. Then they erupted like thunder. Jason stood over him, not gloating, not flexing, just breathing, calm. He walked to Castillo, extended a hand, and helped him to his feet. Castillo stared at him, dazed. Jason leaned in and said quietly, "That's what real strength looks like." No cameras followed Jason as he left the arena. No interviews, no autographs. Just silence. He walked out to the night air, where Dean waited in a wheelchair by the car. "I saw everything," Dean said, tears in his eyes. Jason smiled. That was yours. They embraced. Years of pain and silence washed away in a hug between brothers. Because tonight wasn't about revenge. It was about loyalty. About standing up for the ones who can't. About strength. Not in the body, but in the heart. Jason didn't fight to prove something to the world. He fought to protect something worth more than pride. His family. And in doing so, he reminded everyone that true greatness doesn't come from power. It comes from purpose.